Hello and welcome to Ironcast. It's a top pro match coming right up. We've got the elites. Let's introduce those commanders in the blue sands of the desert. Is it a Mirage or is it Azakora playing the Wehrmacht? They'll be on the south side of this road to Tunis, wishing their opponent to have fun, but no good luck. Good luck is reserved for moi. Gathering our party and venturing to the north is the red base full of eagles and fireworks and my favorite yummy hot dogs. Commanding the American forces is Inverse. Already with the Pathfinders out, so it's gonna be one of those games, is it? Alright then, let's get it over with. My name's Anuki, but let's be honest, nobody cares about that. I'm just like you. I want to get into watching a game of Comedy of Heroes as quickly as possible. I don't want to see a monologue and waiting around, especially when there's 2 to 3 minutes worth of capture time we can fill in. I also hate watching adverts, and these videos are not monetized. You pay in guilt. I do also hope to stream in the future, so if you could pop along to there and follow the Twitch, or come along to the Discord and share some replays to cast, that'll be fantastic. Okay, so looking at the start of the game, there's some interesting things to already mention. Now, with the patch, which has been in effect for a week, we usually saw that the Fellsher Pioneer spam was the dominant counter strategy to the Pathfinder into quad half track. Usually in that kind of build, you wouldn't really see the Kedencrad coming out, but now that you can't build a Flak 38 and just try and guard your own fuel points, we have to find a different strategy, and that counter strategy is going to fall back to, I think, the breakthrough strategy with the MP40s. We have Grenadiers coming out for Azakora, and if they can get some fast MP40s, they'll be able to fight off the Pathfinders, but at the initial stage in the game, you can't really stop the Pathfinders just walking up to your own territory. But the general idea is the Grenadiers are going to be focused on fighting, and the Kedencrad, wherever possible, will approach from behind the Grenadiers and get all that territory really fast. Azakora's only goal is to hold onto their territory on their side of the map, just their fuel, and be able to counter that quad half track as soon as possible. So the Grenadiers double team up, Pathfinders do capture the fuel, but it's not connected to their own territory, so it's not a big worry. It's just going to delay the capture of it ever so slightly. And that's all Inverse wants.
Assault packages are available for Grenadier squads.
And there it is. There's the assault package. Pathfinders waltzing their way up to the +10 outside of Azakora's base. Grenadiers just popped out of the infantry company. They change their direction to go defend this, but they will need some assistance. 2 Pathfinders will beat any squad. We're just in open combat almost. Pathfinders moving back into the bush. Another Pathfinder squad on its way, and there's that MP40 Grenadier squad approaching from behind, the perfect place to approach from. Now, this isn't too bad for Azakora just fighting outside of their base, even if they are losing models, because they will be able just to quickly arrive back to this point in the battlefield. It's not a long retreat. Sniper out on the field. Now, the sniper was a hell of a way to deal with the Fellsher Pioneer spam, and it got an incredible buff. It only takes 1.5 seconds to fire. Kedencrad looking for some toes to run over. This is the earliest vehicular blocking I've seen. Getting a few shots from the Grenadiers there, but nothing to boast about. Now, the Grenadiers are out here to close maybe the cutoff point. Will Inverse get cut off, and will it even matter, because the Weapon Support Center is already online, as is the Mechanized Support Center. Kedencrad going to prioritize the +10 fuel instead. I think that's a great choice. Grenadiers should be able to get this cutoff point themselves. But that quad half track is on time to come out at 5.5 minutes, and just to get into a little balance discussion, Grenadiers just hold off on that sniper and then go ahead and retreat. This is a strategy that is complained about, and I see people saying the problem is how strong or weak the units are, which maybe is part of the issue, but it really isn't the #1 priority problem. Others have correctly identified that the quad half-track just comes out way too early, which does identify the problem, but doesn't really understand why it's a major problem outside of just not being able to counter it in time. Ooh, mine's down. Kettenkrad should be able to reverse safely. Road speeds them up. So let me your ear, I guess. The issue at hand is that in this match, at 2 minutes, combat started between the Grenadiers and the Pathfinders. Early game engagements last a long time. We had a second engagement outside of the +10 fuel, and now we are 5.5 minutes in. We were at 4 minutes in when that second engagement ended. And at this point, that quad half-track is just good to go. And likewise, the Wehrmacht is ready to go into Tier 2. We can see the building inside their base being constructed now. The problem is there's hardly any strategical interaction between the players in these first 5 minutes or 4 minutes here. You know, in StarCraft and Age of Empires, they have a thing called scouting. Grenadiers trying to get that Panzerfaust off. Quicker hands! They gonna get it? Yeah, they get that one. Engineers will probably come out for inverse just to patch that up. So in Company of Heroes, scouting happens by default because the resources is the territories that you go out, so you'll be able to see your enemy. But unlike StarCraft and Age of Empires, there isn't really time to put a plan into motion, let alone just kind of see what your enemy might be doing. You kind of just have to guess. I like what Azakora is doing here, though. They just pulled these injured Grenadiers back, luring that quad half-track into potentially another Panzerfaust. Based on its health, I think that would have killed it. So in the first 4 minutes of this match, Azakora had to already be counteracting the strategy. They were getting the Grenadiers out, knowing the Pathfinder spam might be what they have to face. Just out here in total force. Jaeger squad hits the field. And then these soldiers split up so many targets for the sniper. I would love to be the sniper in this video game. So Azakora, doing this strategy regardless of whatever their enemy was doing. And likewise, Inverse just blindly picking this Pathfinder strategy regardless of what their enemy was doing. So in the early game, there isn't enough breathing room to get a feel for what your opponent is going to want to do. And I think this is a remarkable loss on a strategical scale. We need more time for the players before getting into Tier 2 to try and feel each other out. Anywho, we got a Panzer Shrek on the Jaeger squad, as expected. But I don't think they're going to get into range of the quad half-track. Flamethrowers on the engineers, they came very quickly. It's burning their skin, they really want that half-track, even if their flesh must melt. It's interesting how aggressive Azakora is in the face of this American base with the sniper and the quad half-track out. It's a big retreat, though, now. That'll cost them some ground on the battlefield. Pathfinder's very, very quick to capture territory.
Reconnaissance vehicle is lost.
Ooh, losing the Kettenkrad there. That's disappointing. Paratroopers on the cutoff point. Which is quite nicely timed with that big retreat, but at the same time, maybe unfortunate, because now we know that there's a lot of soldiers in Azakora's base. Grenadiers will lose this matchup, especially if the paratroopers hop over the wall, but that's not the point. The point is they just want to maintain control of that sector. Sniper constantly microed. We do have the support elements upgraded, so we could be seeing the Marder or the Whirlwind out. Now, in the previous Luftwaffe counter strategy, nice grenade, we saw that the Whirlwind with a Jaeger squad on the back would sometimes be called in, but it's not the only way to get a Whirlwind on the field. The Whirlwind was a great counter to the quad half-track. Its hull is based on a Panzer IV. It's just a different turret on top, so it's got excellent armor. Where are you going, quad half-track? I'm surprised this quad half-track hasn't been more aggressive, trying to get around the side of infantry Has Azakora really offered an opportunity for that to even happen? Maybe that earlier trickery with the Grenadiers behind the building has made Inverse play a little too cautiously. Oh, Azakora is going for a whirlwind from their Luftwaffe company. Giant ball here. Grosses Todes by fire. Lasses gain. Yes, let's... Okay, look, when you're moving out from base like this, it technically isn't blobbing. You just kind of gather up everyone, you get them moving, and then, as you see here, we start fanning them out to where we want. So, one Grenadier squad, the most injured one that isn't really going to be great at combat, they decide to F off and go capture some territory, maybe deal with the Pathfinders on the top side of the map. And everyone else is fanning out to take different levels of cover. We've got the MP40s up front. I love it. This is tactics. Mwah! Taste the flavor. Luftwaffe take position next to the paratroopers. Quad half-track right at the back. Panzerschreck really wants to be on the quad half-track, but not when your whirlwind was so close to completion. This is a nasty surprise, and the quad half-track is not going to be able to get away now. It's been panzerfausted and quad blasted. 2-centimeter shells up that close would kill anyone, even me. Oh, Grenadiers winning their battle. It was the Engineers up here with the flamethrowers. Whirlwind charging in. Got any M9 bazooka upgrades on the paratroopers? Because that would be dangerous. Yep, one does have it. Whirlwind moving over to the top side where that Engineer on 1 health. Well remembered. Oh, it's like a movie. Nice and cinematic. Explosions behind the Engineer. Surely they don't want to drop into here. Motor pool going down for Inverse. I thought they might just go ahead and skip to getting Sherman tanks out. Maybe they're feeling a little bit vulnerable. Maybe thinking they needed an AT gun. Could just power drop one in though. Maybe they're looking to go down the other tree as fast as possible. But in any case, with paratroopers and the M9 bazookas out on the field, they should be able to deal with that Ostwind, or at least threaten it. Sniper, Vet 2, it's a real shame I can't see how many kills they have at the moment. I'm going to assume there's probably 20 kills, 25 kills maybe. It's been non-stop firing. Extremely well played micro sniper management for Inverse. Hitting the Jaegers is going to be very costly. I wonder if we've seen any merging into the Jaeger squad at the moment. Whirlwind in trouble. Grenadiers to provide some relief. Jaegers in stealth. Getting hit by that sniper. Vet 3 now. Damn. Oh, nasty stuff for the Jaeger squad. Yeah, 2 righties fucking dead. I think I saw. It's just a smudge on the floor. The manpower drain is insane. That sniper just going back and forth, constantly maintaining their max range. Which reminds me, I really wanted to do a sniper micro video. I've just not got around to it yet. It's a lot of fun to control the snipers. More Grenadiers to appear in the scopes of this sniper. Someone get this guy some witness protection program after this fight. There's gonna be a lot of vengeance from families. Grenadiers able to break through the middle by sheer force of will and possibly just having a lot of Grenadiers. That helps as well. It helps to be expendable, I suppose. Reading about snipers in World War II is kind of interesting, though. It was every faction had a different kind of thought about how snipers were involved in the military. So there are a few famous snipers, yes, but generally speaking, snipers were kind of rare. Now, the Soviets were very interested in snipers. They invested a lot into training snipers. The Americans didn't really have a proper doctrine for training snipers. The companies were just given some Springfield rifles with a telescopic scope, and they were handed to the marksman of the unit. Interesting to see the airborne reinforcement ability used sort of preemptively here. I think maybe Inverse was trying to use that ability to get the whirlwind to focus on it, allowing the M9 bazookas to roam up, but infantry has a difficult time. Is this plane going to survive? It's flying really low. Ooh! Drops on the building. Building is fine. Just slightly glitches out, but what building doesn't? But interesting use of the ability. I'm really not sure if Inverse was trying to use that plane as a decoy. But again, like, infantry just isn't terrific at catching up to vehicles. Lots of grenades away, burning grenadiers, getting a speed boost. That's the way I see it. Jaegers won't be able to hold out here against all of the firepower of the American forces. MP-40s making their way up. Getting close to the paratroopers. Another grenadier squad to back them up. Getting burned. No, don't stand in the same place! Azakura just liking the warmth of nearby grenadier bodies. Second whirlwind out now. I did think we'd probably see a new Jaeger squad. But I suppose this kind of makes sense for the time being. Azakura just wants to be able to deal with the infantry, and what better way to deal with them than 2 whirlwinds? That means they only have a single Panzer Shrek and any munitions left over for Panzerfausts to deal with any armor threat. And we do have that armor threat. Slightly over the 15-minute mark that we usually see a Sherman come out. The 45 fuel it costs to get a motor pool delaying it slightly, but I think Inverse just wanted to make sure they could at least get a Shafi out to counter something, perhaps. Maybe they've not dealt with a player on Azakura's caliber and they were really fretting. I mean, that quad half-track was certainly more reservist than I typically see. This whirlwind retreats in a way that the Panzer Shrek and the Grenadiers get some side shots onto the Sherman. Excellent positioning there. Azakura is definitely a player to be looking out for in the future of the Company of Heroes 3 world, if they aren't already. Because hot damn, I am seeing some amazing tactics, and the Sherman's gonna have to drive right across this. How have you still got munitions for all of this? I am in just so much awe. Sherman tank still alive, slowed down, snared by the Panzerfaust. And the Panzer Shrek from the Jaeger squad takes aim, fires, gets that rear shot, doesn't even need it. It's gonna be dead from a slight breath. So a whirlwind for a Sherman, I think, is a good trade. Sniper, totally surrounded by all kinds of allies. Look at this warfare. Infantry all over the place, but a lot of the Axis forces are having to retreat. Jaeger squad, not in great condition. Just this MP-40 squad to act as a shield for the whirlwind. M9 bazookas getting focused. As long as the Grenadiers can just kill that squad, the whirlwind can mop up the rest, even if it has no health left. And they do manage to get the paratrooper squad to retreat. Engineers just standing in the middle of the road wondering what the flip to do. Retreating is the right answer. New MP-40 squad arrived. I really don't feel like Azakura was coming off as well as they have done here. Managing to force all of those units to retreat is incredible work.
The enemy has 200
So I guess I can finish off my sniper story now. something training. The Germans, they became more interested in sniping when they were getting picked off by the Soviets, because they were a lot of Soviet snipers out there. But it does seem, though, based on the information, like snipers were used more defensively. I've got to make sure that medic station has its reinforcement thing on. And a lot of people forget about that. The Soviets, they had to hold off the German offensive, and the Germans had to hold off the US and British offensives, and then the Soviet one as well. But when the US and British forces encountered snipers, I mean, they were on the offensive, not the snipers, the US and British forces. So they would just be rolling up with tanks and they'd shoot at the bell tower with the sniper in it. That's the classic way. Nice dodge there from the Grenadiers. Double grenades. Heavy investment from Inverse. Also, the US and British, they weren't lacking in resources. You know, they had the tanks. They had the artillery. They'd just say, hey, sniper over here. Bomb the hell out of it, please. So I think it makes sense that we hear more legends about German and Soviet snipers, because that's where they were more widely used. And the conditions for them to sort of succeed were better. Vet 2 Whirlwind. Oh, gunning for that sniper. Maybe that's why we saw a second Whirlwind as well. Just trying to have more tools to drive into the sniper and kill them really quickly. But every time a play like this is made, there's always some freaking paratrooper squad with an M9 bazooka shoving their rocket into the side. The squad's getting surrounded. They're in a crater though. Nice cover. Hold on for as long as they can. Only 100 tickets left for Inverse. A startling 318. But as a quarter, just gonna take a sip of tea to hydrate. I know, it's very British of me. I have my biscuits here as well, because that's my breakfast. Definitely a wonderful game to enjoy. Nice cup of warm tea in my hands. I've seen so many renditions of this play between US airborne quad strategy and whatever it is that the Wehrmacht have to do to attempt to not be crushingly defeated. And this is certainly one for people to study if they are struggling against the US airborne strategies. Well, strategy. We're gonna get the sniper here. There's a lot of shots, but Grenadiers and their wonky freaking arms can't shoot for shit. Now they have to deal with the airborne again. But they're making a good job of it. Now I've seen... Just gonna full-on retreat from that grenade. Maybe because Asakura is focused elsewhere? Definitely not a bad idea to retreat if you feel like you want to focus on one more important battle, but it seems like Asakura lost both battles there to Inverse. So I've seen discussions where the Wehrmacht players are trying to figure out what the hell do they do in this matchup. I can't get an MG because Pathfinders will smoke them. So the answer is don't get an MG. Can't go Fellowship Pioneers anymore because they got freaking nerfed and the sniper got buffed, so they just get sniped now. And well, so don't get Fellowship Pioneers. And basically we go through all the options and you are essentially left with, by pure process of elimination, just get Grenadiers, because you have no other choice. Then we're gonna lose a Whirlwind to a Sherman here. Quick, clog the tracks with the Pioneers. Just throw your bodies into the wheels. Oh god, that should not be an ability in the game. That would be gruesome. So just get Grenadiers and play really well. And you have to be crafty and instill fear into the heart of your opponent, even if that opponent is the legendary Inverse. Gotta make that quad half-track play less aggressively. I'm a big fan of Inverse, by the way. They'll just play extremely well and entertainingly. Oh, are we gonna lose another Sherman? It's just got on the field! Maybe Inverse is correct to feel fear. Just like that, so quickly defeated. Get the WEHR squads on the flank there. Airborne reinforcements in effect. Height advantage is just kind of being randomly distributed. I don't know how it's working. Got airborne reinforcements coming down into this, just dropping into a hell in a cell. Tables, ladders, and chairs match. Flamethrowers definitely allowed. That Sherman corpse flattening like a pancake. I'm so disappointed that the vehicle wrecks just crumble so easily, but excited to see a Tiger on the field. I don't think Inverse realizes that the airborne reinforcements ran out and the Pathfinders simply perish. Calling in an AT gun. Wow, you must truly be desperate to rely on an AT gun. But hey, AT gun with a couple of paratroopers with M9 bazookas, that's gonna go quite okay. That's not too bad. I think people overestimate how badass the Tiger tank is. It's really a matter of control. Paratroopers take cover inside of the building, which sure might help protect them, but if the building goes down, then they'll go down with it. Oh no! Oh, big loss for Inverse there. Tiger lightly damaged, getting some repairs on the move. Grenadiers step on a mine. Better them than the Tiger. Shout out to Inverse, by the way. I think they have something to do with the CoHDB.com website where you can upload replays. Tiger tank now firing into the big large building on the south side of this road. Driving all the way forward. We've got an AT gun and a paratrooper squad here. I'm not sure the Pathfinders inside the building should really be prioritized. Exposing the side and rear armor. Are we, Azakora? What are you trying to say? Is this just trying to bait them into something bigger, as you have previously displayed? Because I can't see what exactly you're trying to do. Destroyed the building, destroyed the Pathfinders. But losing the Tiger tank. Losing the Tiger tank. The Hellcat shows up and it's like, I'm here to party. Wait, you've already done this? You killed this without me? Yeah, it was the sniper. That Vet 3 sniper, which each of those stars is actually 10 stars. It's the Vet 30 sniper by now. They must be packing over 60 kills, maybe 70. Losing that Tiger, though, the gravity of such an event to occur, and so quickly when it was brought onto the field, apparently tanks just don't survive. You know, I've been complaining about mass tank spam. This is not the game to really demonstrate that. We have a tiny plane going across the screen. So I'm very used to seeing like 3 Shermans with a 76mm upgrade. There are 3 Panzer IVs as well with their armored skirts, I suppose. But in this match, the Sherman showed up, immediately died. The Tiger tank showed up, immediately died. But the reason that they died is rather peculiar. And I would love to interview both of the players and gather more of an understanding as to why those events occurred. The Shermans I can kind of understand. That was, I think, fairly well played by Azakora. Being rather sneaky with where their units were positioned, using the whirlwinds, maybe not intentionally to bait the Sherman tank. I think the Sherman tank just came out of the blue and they just made the best of a bad situation, trading their whirlwind for the Shermans. But the Tiger tank just killing a Pathfinder squad of the building and just destroying the building and parking where it did. It didn't need to park where it did to destroy the building. It could have done that from where we're looking right now on screen. It didn't need to be exposed. So yeah, very unusual circumstances. And now a lot of units have perished. Grenadiers struggling to stay alive, as is tradition. 3 Jaeger squads, 2 Grenadiers, and only 5 tickets left at the 30-minute mark. Jaeger squad providing smoke for their allies to try and hold on to this area. Grenade away, just stepping out of the way of that. This is, oh, it's so infuriating, this. This is why we need flamethrowers on the scene, just to be able to burn into the smoke. Trying to have your engineers in the right place at the right time, though, we're talking ideals, and I think a lot of discussions out there always are like, oh, well, if they use smoke, just use flamethrowers. Well, unfortunately, my flamethrowers don't teleport. You know, I can't just have them where they need to be in the precise position with the exact right enemies where my engineer flamethrowers will flourish.
Enemy forces have captured a victory point.
We have to use the cards we are given. Yes, we do have men dying out here. It seems that Azakora is now having difficulty fighting the infantry that is left for Inverse. The vehicles have mostly been destroyed. There's just a Hellcat sitting on the top victory point at the moment, safeguarding that.
Victory points are under enemy control.
Got the G43 rifles out for a Jaeger squad now. We definitely need more anti-infantry capability. Paratroopers trying to get some flank. Destroying the munitions, getting rid of some of that cover. Double Grenadiers to take over from the Jaeger squad.
We have 100 points left.
Snipers out there, though. Constantly dropping bodies. Azakora is requisitioning the construction of a new whirlwind. With a Hellcat on the field? We still do have the double Panzer Shreks, so they can provide a safe screening. Vet 3 for the Grenadiers. Well done. It's always a tremendous achievement when you see Grenadiers get Vet 3. And you're reminded that you just really don't want to use the transfer orders on them. Like, definitely now, the MP40s are struggling in this open combat.
Wind is deploying to the field.
As the match goes on, more and more cover is destroyed. We got all these bazookas and Panzer Shreks getting rid of the heavy cover, light cover, any cover. Oh, sniper taking fire is down! Oh no! Now that sniper had 85 kills, and I know this because the replay file told me so. Jeez, gonna need a memorial for that guy. He needs a name! Jack Sniper. Born into the sniper family. It's like someone with the last name Baker, alright? Nominative determinism. Whirlwind firing on a plane, dropping some paratroopers onto the victory point. If Inverse can hold this, they've got 2 victory points and only 30 tickets to take away from Azakora. Hellcat coming to deal with the whirlwind. Paratroopers standing their ground. We gonna lose the paratroopers? Panzer Shrek onto the Hellcat. We might see both vehicles get destroyed here. The lifespan of these vehicles, it's so low. 20 tickets remaining. We're getting awfully close. MP40s supported with the Panzer Shrek Jaeger squad. Oh god, we got the airborne reinforcements floating overhead. It's going to be really difficult to kill this squad, even with 3 squads all firing on them. And all I can think about now is the breakthrough ability. Maybe that could have been used earlier just to capture the points really fast. In fact, there was a point not too long ago in the middle of the map where Azakora did have soldiers on the victory point and they could have used that breakthrough to capture it, but then Inverse stepped on it. 5 to 5. They just keep coming. Please, stop. We so know this ability is going to change. Look how close that wing is to the ground. How are they jumping? How are they jumping out of that plane at that angle, at that low altitude? It doesn't make sense, but Inverse does win. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this match. Do remember to like, comment, subscribe, but if you feel you can do one better, join the Ironcast Discord and say hello and follow the Twitch channel. Some of these games are casted live on Twitch. If we do get enough replays, then you'll see more live streams. I wish you the very best, and I will be here for you next time. See you next time.
Enemy has control over all victory. Sniper! 5 command points available.
Sniper! Where the fuck is he? Sniper!
Antigua has been destroyed. Crew lost. The enemy has only...